Bugs in the orchard, lesson number 5. If you've ever been to an orchard during harvest season, you've been blessed with a unique treat. Many people only ever see their fruit on grocery store shelves. They have never been able to appreciate the beauty of an apple tree full of crisp red apples. They have never witnessed the dusty purple fruit of a plum tree hanging so heavily on the branches that they droop. The glisten of jewel-toned cherries is without comparison in a fruit orchard, and the smells are just as delightful as the sights are. Tall grass swishing between the trees, the buzz of a bee, and likely the chatter of many people picking and harvesting and caring for the trees are all sounds you might hear between the rows of rich woody branches. An orchard is well worth the visit, but have you ever wondered what it actually is? Orchards are groups of fruit or nut trees. Some dictionaries even include sugar maple trees in the definition. These groups of trees can be a full variety like what you might find in someone's backyard. They may also specialize in one type of fruit or nut, like what you might find in a commercial orchard. If you go for a drive through an area that is known for its fruit production, chances are that you will pass by many apple orchards, almond orchards, or orange groves. Some are more common in warmer southern regions where the growing season is larger and the types of fruit grown will depend on the climate, soil, and even the humidity. In the same way, the types of bugs you encounter in an orchard vary depending on the area, climate, type of wood or fruit they eat, and many other factors. Today, we will learn about just a few different types of insects. But if you are interested, look up more specific ones you might find in your area, if you have orchards, that is. Terminology time out. You may be wondering why an orange grove isn't called an orchard. No one seems to know quite why orange and other citrus orchards are known as groves. The word grove just means a group of trees with no underbrush. And it is not restricted to food-producing trees. You can have a grove of willows or spruce trees. Perhaps saying orange orchard seems like too much of a mouthful to someone, so they decided to get out their thesaurus and find another word to say for a group of trees. However, it can be the name has stuck, and most stands of citrus trees are referred to as groves, even though they fit the definition of an orchard. These aren't the only types of fruit forms with a different name. Grapes are grown on a vine, not a tree, so the place grapes grow is called a vineyard instead of an orchard. A blueberry farm is called a barren, while a strawberry field is called exactly that, a strawberry field. Wasps. Have you ever been outside on a hot day and seen a swarm of yellow wasps, or perhaps a massive paper nest attached to a building or fence? These common wasps, called paper wasps, are perhaps the most well-known variety. The social structure is similar to that of a honeybee. However, there are around 30,000 different species of wasp in the world, and most of them are less social than the ones you might find in the paper-looking nests in your backyard. Wasps are a group of insects that are closely related to ants and bees, but they have some unique characteristics. Compared to bees, wasps generally have a smoother body. Most of them do not rely on nectar as a primary food source. Many species are either hunter or a parasitic in nature, meaning that they live off of other organisms. They have a very narrow connection between their thorax and their abdomen called a petiole. Most wasps are equipped with wings, and some species sting. Most wasp species are solitary. This means that they live on their own without a social order. These insects play an important role in many different ecosystems, including the orchard. Yellow jackets and paper wasps are drawn to the sweet-smelling fruit of an orchard. They can cause problems by eating through the fleshy skin, especially of soft fruits such as peaches, cherries, and nectarines. Wasps are the worst when fruit ripens and begins to fall from the trees, rotting in the sun and attracting hungry animals and insects alike. As annoying as they might be when you are trying to pick a juicy piece of fruit, they are not all bad and serve an important purpose. These wasps are omnivores, meaning that they eat plants and meat. They help keep the pest population under control by eating insects that might damage the trees. They also aid in cross-pollination as they fly from tree to tree searching for food. Despite their nasty sting, they are a delicacy to many animals that are looking for a snack. So the next time you see a wasp, remember that God created everything as part of an intricate ecosystem with a plan and purpose, just like you. Wasps, they have a ruby-tailed wasp, they like to lay their eggs in nests of mason bees. These wasps are common in the UK. Solitary wasps often nest in the ground. There's only about 1,000 species of wasps that are social. Hornets, yellow jackets, and velvet ants are all types of wasps. Many parasitic wasps, I can't say wasp, lay their eggs in the eggs or by the larvae of another animal. When the larvae hatch, they feed on the eggs or the larvae of the other animals, destroying them. This helps control the pest population.
Mason bees. There are many varieties of mason bees all around the world, with nearly 150 species in North America alone. These bees are known as some of the most efficient bees at pollinating flowers and orchards. In fact, they are often called orchard bees. They are so effective that it only requires about 300 of them to pollinate an entire acre of apple or cherry trees. They play a very important role. Without pollination, the flowers will not develop into fruit for you to enjoy. These delightful bees rarely sting and can be many different colors, from yellow and black to metallic green or blue. Mason bees are not social like honeybees. They live on their own. Each female mason bee lays eggs and rears them by herself. They often use abandoned tunnels from beetles or hollow stems of old plants to lay their eggs in. They will also nest in man-made mason bee houses, which are a series of tunnels, tubes, or trays made of natural materials in a specific way. Mason bees use mud to modify these tunnels to prepare for laying eggs. A mason bee mother collects pollen and nectar in a mass and deposits it into the tunnel before laying one egg. She then builds another mud wall and fills it with food and an egg. When the tunnel is full, she seals it with mud. The mason bee larvae that hatch eat the pollen and nectar, rest, and then spin a cocoon. When fall arrives, there is a fully formed mason bee still trapped in its chamber. The new adult bee sleeps through the winter until spring, when it emerges as the new generation of mason bees, ready to take on the challenge of pollinating and reproducing in the delightful spring sunshine. Leafhopper. Have you ever seen leaves that don't look healthy? Sometimes leaves look this way because they don't have enough water or because the plant has a disease. Other times, the sick leaves are a result of a pest snacking on them. Leafhoppers, which are similar to grasshoppers but much smaller, love to suck the sap from the plants. They also have a tendency to destroy the chlorophyll in leaves. Some leafhoppers take diseases from one plant and spread it to another when they move on to feed. Others cause the leaves of plants to curl, affecting the health and growth of the plant. With tens of thousands of species of leafhoppers, they are found all over the world, snacking on a wide variety of plants. Most single species only eat from a few special varieties. These tiny insects grow to a maximum length of about 0.6 inches or 15 millimeters, with many species being only a few millimeters long. On their own, these insects can't do much damage to a plant, but in large numbers they can cause many issues. Besides the problems you have learned about, leafhoppers can produce a disease on plants called hopperburn, caused by the toxin they release as they feed. Leafhoppers in the orchard can cause major problems for apple trees. White apple leafhoppers and rose leafhoppers attack mature apple trees. They cause damage to fruit as it is developing and even prevent fruit from forming properly. Hopperburn can appear on apple leaves as dried, crispy edges of the leaves. The hoppers also cause the leaves to be pale and speckled. Potato leafhoppers can cause considerable damage to young apple trees. The life cycle of leafhoppers varies from species to species. While apple leafhoppers live on an apple tree their entire lives, hatching out of eggs that survive the winter each spring. Rose leafhoppers lay eggs on wild roses and other trees. When they hatch, they feed on the host plants. As the adults emerge, they move to apple trees where they will live for a second and a third generation. The third generation adults return to the wild roses to lay their eggs in the fall. Potato leafhoppers migrate north from southern United States each year. These insects are less predictable because of their migration pattern. There are just a few of the amazing, teeny tiny creatures you might find in or near your fruit at an orchard, and it barely begins to scratch the surface of this fascinating ecosystem. From wriggling white cherry fly larvae feeding off your cherries to the moth larvae that burrow deep into the flesh of your apple, there is a wide variety of larvae, otherwise known as worms, that grows and develops in the safe cocoon of a piece of fruit. Even harmful insects also provide food for carnivorous insects such as spiders and beetles, and these insects help keep harmful insect populations down. The food chain that God created remains one of the most effective forms of management of insect populations when the balance He established is maintained. The next time you bite into a juicy piece of fruit, think about where it came from and the unique habitat that orchards provides to the spiders, flies, bees, and other creepy crawlies that call them home.